Now, to Ukraine, which, of course, is a country at war with Russia, but there is another battle on the home front, the fight for equality. Like many post-Soviet countries, Ukraine has a problem with homophobia. But the country is changing, and campaigners are helping to make that happen. DW correspondent Max Zander is in the eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, and he talked to some activists there about confronting homophobia.
Stasia and her fellow activists want to be visible, even though they know not everyone will be happy to see them. As we speak, Stasia, who helps organize Kharkiv Pride, gets news of an anti-LGBT protest elsewhere in town. They're used to that kind of hostility.
We are a democratic country. I don't see any problems if this is how they want to show their opposition. It's better than harassment, threats, beating people, which happens very often after Pride.
They're more worried about Russian missile attacks. That's one reason why only a handful of people showed up. Another is that many have left town, but also some are fighting the Russians. The cutouts represent those who are absent. No rainbow without yellow and blue, this one reads, the colors of the Ukrainian flag. The signs of pride don't last long. So not even 2 hours later, some of the cutouts are already missing, and they were brought not too far away. As you can see right here, let me pull one out for you. This one says, this could be Marichka, but she's at the front line evacuating the wounded. Some of the guys who did this are still at work, and it appears not camera shy.
I don't think now's the time for a promotional campaign for this. It would be more logical if instead of these posters, there were photos of boys who died in the war for our country. They sacrificed their lives not only for free Kharkiv, but also for Ukraine.
By the time curfew hits at 11 o'clock, most of the cutouts are gone, destroyed, or defaced. Ukrainian law still only recognizes marriage between a man and a woman. But surveys show more than half of Ukrainians support same-sex marriage, and about a quarter oppose it.
These are intimate matters. No matter what one's sexual orientation, there is no need to show it to people. They are not affecting anyone else with this. Everyone has the right to love whoever they want.
A draft law to recognize civil unions between people of the same gender was introduced to Ukraine's parliament earlier this year. That would be a major step for the entire queer community, especially those fighting in this war. Stasia's partner Alina is a career soldier. She's just returned home from her unit for a break. She doesn't hide her sexuality from her comrades, but says reactions have been mixed. The couple held a mock wedding with friends.
We have real photos. We have a video of the ceremony. But we still can't get married in Ukraine. So it's difficult to pretend it was something personal. We still can't get married.
She also knows, like all other queer soldiers, that if she is hurt or killed, her partner will have no rights to make decisions.
We want legal protection for our family. To plan a life together, you need protection from the state. We need recognition of who we really are, and we are a family.
That family is fighting for Ukraine's future and their place within it.
Earlier, I spoke with Inna Sovsun, a member of Ukraine's parliament and deputy head of the Liberal Holos opposition party. She helped draft a bill that would give same-sex partnerships legal status in Ukraine. I asked her if the war is impacting public opinion towards LGBTQ rights in Ukraine.
Well, it is. But I would say this, that first of all, there was a general positive trend in attitudes towards LGBT people in Ukraine over the last 20, 30 years. It was slow, but it was still a progress in terms of improving attitudes towards the LGBT community. But of course, with the war, two major factors have played in that have significantly changed the attitudes towards LGBT people. One are LGBT military. As you just reported, they have become quite a visible group. And with the current situation we're in Ukraine, anyone who is wearing a uniform and risking his or her life to protect those civilians, they deserve our respect. So the visibility of military LGBT people is of course one major factor that contributes to acceptance of LGBT people in Ukraine. But the second factor, and it's also important, is that Putin did his best to connect European integration, getting closer to Europe with LGBT rights. So now with this radical shift in Ukrainian minds, when 99% of Ukrainians support Europe, well, over 90% support European integration, everybody says that Russia is our enemy. This also translates in people's brains in better attitudes towards LGBT people, because Putin has been putting that into their brains. If you want to be in Europe, you will have to treat LGBT people properly. Right. So now when people realize that they don't want to be with Russia, the only way they have is with Europe. So now they understand that they have they don't want to be homophobic like Putin. So that is why it's also changing.
Now, you say that LGBTQ people have more visibility in the Ukrainian military now, but what about the attitude within the military itself, within the Ministry of Defense, toward the LGBTQ community? What's that like?
Well, talking to those people, I know that the attitude really varies from unit to unit, from one commander to another. I have seen cases like Alina that was on your report. She doesn't have any trouble with her unit, and they accept her for who she is. But I've also known some other cases where people who came out as gay were then asked to talk to internal security because they thought that this is a risk. So it really varies, and the problem is that as of right now, there is no specific guidelines inside the army on how to treat LGBT people. And Ukraine recently, yesterday, literally, the Minister of Defense, Mr. Reznikov, was sacked. And I believe today the Parliament will appoint a new Minister of Defense. So we'll see how he will handle this situation, because indeed the Ministry of Defense has technically objected towards the legislation. Truly on rather technical grounds. So we will work with the new minister to see if his position will be different with regards to the law. But regardless of the law, it's also important to have specific guidelines on how to treat LGBT people and how to avoid discrimination of LGBT people in the army, just like we had for women, because we do have quite a significant portion of women fighting in the army, and right. There are specific guidelines that needs to be the same for LGBT.
Ina Sosin, member of Ukraine's parliament, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.